Do you remember how talking about your salary with your coworkers was somehow considered extremely taboo and in some cases even a fireable offense? Hey guys, my name is Preston. I'm a professional tech recruiter. Today, we're gonna talk all about salary disclosures and discussions. In recent years, there's been a ton of controversy surrounding salary discussions and even salary disclosures for jobs. The main issue is the culture of pay secrecy, which is totally to the employer's advantage, where they freely discourage or even downright prohibit employees from discussing their salaries with each other. This basically creates an environment where workers are unable to determine if they're actually being paid fair and can lead to pay disparities based on factors such as gender or race. Another issue, and this particular one has been very relevant in my field today, is around the transparency of salary information during the hiring process. Some employers have been criticized for not providing clear information about salary ranges for open positions, which can make it difficult for job seekers to negotiate fair compensation. In an effort to combat this, some jurisdictions have even made laws that require employers to disclose salaries directly on the job descriptions. As of November 1st, 2022, New York City has ratified a law that requires all job postings to have a salary range. Now, salary range, as opposed to, just salary, might seem like a cop-out and employers can post crazy ranges and still be compliant, but it is still a step at least in the right direction. An argument could be made that this is so that they can base the salary on the applicant's level of experience and skill, but there is definitely an element of still lacking transparency here. Important to note, when I actually read the exact wording of the law, it's posted online. I'll throw a link in the description box below. There are some exceptions like a job advertisement for temporary employment at a temporary help firm, which they define on another page, and positions that cannot or will not be performed at least in part in the city of New York. Curiously, according to the text of the bill, for the first-time offenses, the penalty for failing to disclose this information will result in a $0 fine and 30 days to fix it. You can definitely rest assured that just about every lobbyist for big business in the city of New York had their hand on that one. Oh well, at least it's some progress. On the other coast, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a somewhat similar law titled SB-1162 that would take effect on January 1st of this year, 2023. According to the bill, employers with 15 or more workers will be required to disclose salary ranges in job postings, including on third-party sites. Companies with 100 plus employees, including contractors, will also have to report on mean and median wage data. Mean and median wage data is actually very valuable information to have because it paints a much clearer picture than just the mean or average value. With just stating the mean, extremely high-earning, often C-suite executives will have their massive salaries throw off any realistic attempt to actually gauge what someone might earn working at that company. Lower-earning workers will get swept underneath the statistical rug, so to speak. So, with the median, you'll start to see what's actually going on. For those of you who might prefer to nap during grade school math classes, the mean or average is just the total pay for everyone divided by the number of employees. High earners will look like they make less, while low earners will look like they make more. Companies often love using this particular equation because it makes the organization seem equal. The median, on the other hand, is the middle value in a set of numbers where they are arranged in order from lowest to highest. If there is an even number of values, the median is the average of the two middle values. The median is less sensitive to extreme values than the mean, and it provides a much better representation of the real values in the dataset. So let's say we have company A with 120 employees and 20 of them are execs and they're still taking home $5 million a year. The next 50 employees are middle level and make about $100,000 a year. The next 30 are lower level, junior employees make about $50,000 a year. Next are the cleaning and maintenance staff, whose 20 members are taking home only $25,000 a year. If you calculate this company's mean or average pay, you'll get $891,666.67. Now, obviously, this is just a made-up company, and these numbers aren't necessarily the most world-like or realistic, but the point is to see the math and understand the meaning behind how statistics are counted and often manipulated to make a company look a certain way. If you took the median, the number comes out to $100,000. That's almost 9 times lower than what the average salary at that company is. And of course, just like the previous example, lower paid workers are cruelly underrepresented by the harshities of statistics. At least though, by having the median salary for companies being included in the discussion more and more frequently, we get a much better sense of what the real numbers are, and our path to transparency is opened just a little bit more. The California bill also extends this requirement to include contract workers and private employers with 100 or more employees that are hired through labor contractors, third-party sources. They must also complete a separate separate pay data report for their contractual employees as well. Straight from the law posted online is this, quote, on or before the second Wednesday of May 2023 and on or before the second Wednesday of May of each year thereafter, a private employer that has 100 or more employees shall submit a pay data report to the department covering their prior calendar year, which for purposes of this section shall be referred to as the reporting year. The pay data report shall include the following information: the number of employees by race, ethnicity, and sex in each of the following job categories: executive or senior level officials and managers, first or middle level officials and managers, professionals, technicians, sales workers, administrative support workers, craft workers, operatives, laborers and helpers, service workers, the number of employees by race, ethnicity, and sex whose annual earnings fall within each of the pay bands used by United States Bureau of Labor Statistics in Occupational Employment Statistics Survey. So within each job category, for each combination of race, ethnicity, and sex, the median and mean hourly rates. So you can see California is really just going all in on this. And while this is definitely something that would benefit workers, it has left some businesses a bit concerned. California as a state has seen a large number of people and businesses leaving, preferring places that don't seem to put so many tracking measures in place. States like Texas, Arizona, and Nevada, just to name a few. Beyond the two coastal states, many others have also signed laws to create greater pay transparency. In May 9th, 2019, Washington Governor Jay Inslee signed House Bill 1696, which updated Washington's existing Equal Pay and Opportunities Act, also known as EPOA. The EPOA will now require more transparency on pay ranges for particular positions and will prohibit employers from asking for an applicant's wage history. The last part about the wage history is definitely a massively defining feature of this bill, because so often has an applicant's previous salary been advantageously used by the potential employer to limit their new salary possibilities. It's also an easy way for someone to remain stuck with the same wages despite an ever more expensive world shifting forward. Colorado, now famous for its Equal Pay for Equal Work Act, first signed by Governor Paulus on May 22nd, 2019, was one of the first jurisdictions to really take this head on. Effective January 1st, 2021, the law requires Colorado businesses to provide equal pay, including benefits to all employees performing similar work. There are only 6 justifications for pay that employers can use to warrant pay differences. Together, they must account for 100% of pay differentials. The law only allowed 6 different conditions that allowed employers to differ their wages. Senior and long-time employees are justifiably allowed to receive greater compensation. A merit-based system is also in place where measurable metrics can be used to determine extra compensation, as is a quantity or quality-based system where things like commission on sales or number of units produced by an employee are factored. For quality matters, low amount of errors and good customer feedback are also considered. Geographic location of where the actual work is performed is another factor that is considered, as is needing an employee to travel away from home as a regular part of the job. One condition that is a bit murky is that employers are permitted to pay employees based on an employee's experience, training, and education, to the extent it is reasonably related to the employee's job, which to me sounds like it would be the best case for any job anywhere. For the jobs posting, as is standard for other places, but was at the time groundbreaking, was the compulsory inclusion of the offered pay or a range of pay, a general description of any other compensation like bonus, commission, tips, etc., a general description of the offered benefits. These progressive and pre-employee policies gathered much praise from the public, happy to see that their plight for a more fair workplace wasn't being ignored. Unfortunately, however, many industry heads didn't share this sentiment and would often look for ways to either get around the rules or simply exclude those from Colorado from the applicant pool. Remember how often remote jobs would explicitly forbid Colorado residents from applying? Even with all this progress in wage transparency, there's still a workplace culture within the US that considers it bad form to discuss their wages with coworkers. This, of course, mainly stems from bosses and management who have a vested interest in sowing secrecy and confusion. However, the tides are changing. Even if companies or bosses explicitly forbid employees from discussing wages, it is not against the law for employees to actually do so. According to the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB for short, the law, quote, the National Labor Relations Act states, quote, employees have the right to communicate with other employees at the workplace about their wages. You may discuss wages in face-to-face conversations and written messages. When using electronic communications like social media, keep it in mind that your employer may have policies against using their equipment. However, policies that specifically prohibit the discussion of wages are unlawful. You may have discussions about wages when not at work, when you are on break, and even during work if employees are permitted to have other non-work conversations. You have these rights whether or not you are represented by a union, end quote. And there you have it. No matter what, you are allowed to talk about wages with your coworkers, and you know what? Why shouldn't you? It's completely fair, and as long as you aren't divulging some company secrets, it's perfectly legal. illegal. And now with salary and salary ranges being the norm in job descriptions, we're gonna see a healthy shift towards employee-friendly work. Well, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed it and learned anything new about the workforce, please consider liking, subscribing, hitting that bell, and comment down below. Let me know down in the comments as well if any of the laws we talked about today have affected you or your workplace. I love hearing from you guys, genuinely. Feel free to also follow me at Preston_Park as I try my best to also post behind the scenes content daily. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you on the next one.